For more than 40 years, one of America's most dangerous criminals seemed to vanish without a trace. He committed dozens of attacks, left investigators chasing shadows, and lived an ordinary life while hiding an extraordinary secret. But in 2018, a breakthrough in DNA technology changed everything. The story of the Golden State Killer is one of fear, persistence, and one of the most remarkable criminal investigations in modern history. Between 1974 and 1986, California was terrorized by a series of crimes that appeared at first to be unrelated. Different police departments gave the unknown suspect different names, including the Visalia Ransacker, the East Area Rapist, and the original Night Stalker. It took years before investigators realized they were searching for the same person. The earliest crimes linked to the suspect began in the town of Visalia, California, where a series of burglaries and home break-ins puzzled investigators. The offender showed unusual patience, carefully studying neighborhoods and learning the routines of residents. After these crimes, the suspect disappeared from the area, only for a new wave of attacks to begin in Northern California. From 1976 through 1979, the unidentified criminal committed numerous home invasions in the Sacramento area. He often targeted suburban neighborhoods, entering homes during the night after watching his victims for days or even weeks. Witnesses described a man who seemed highly organized and confident. He frequently escaped before officers could arrive, despite large police searches. The attacks created widespread fear across California. Residents installed stronger locks, neighborhood watch programs expanded, and police departments dedicated enormous resources to finding the offender. Sketches were released, tips poured in, and investigators followed countless leads, but none brought them closer to identifying the man responsible. As the years passed, the crimes changed location and pattern. In Southern California, several murders committed between 1979 and 1986 were eventually connected to the same offender through forensic evidence. Investigators realized they were dealing with a single criminal whose crimes had stretched across hundreds of miles and more than a decade. One of the greatest challenges in the investigation was that the suspect seemed to disappear completely after 1986. There were no confirmed crimes linked to him after that year. Detectives continued reviewing evidence, interviewing witnesses, and comparing fingerprints and DNA, but the case remained unsolved. For many families and investigators, it seemed possible that the mystery would never be solved. Despite the lack of progress, dedicated detectives refused to give up. Investigators carefully preserved biological evidence collected from crime scenes, believing that future technology might succeed where traditional methods had failed. That decision would eventually become one of the most important factors in solving the case. In the 2010s, advances in DNA analysis opened a new path. Instead of searching only criminal databases, investigators explored genetic genealogy, a method that compares crime scene DNA with publicly available family history databases to identify possible relatives. Working with genealogists, detectives built extensive family trees, slowly narrowing the list of potential suspects. The investigation eventually focused on Joseph James DeAngelo, a former police officer who had served in California during the 1970s. Detectives secretly collected DNA from items he had discarded in public. Laboratory testing showed that his DNA matched evidence preserved from multiple crime scenes decades earlier. On April 24, 2018, authorities arrested the then 72-year-old DeAngelo outside his home in Citrus Heights, California. The arrest shocked the public. Neighbors described him as a quiet retiree who had lived an ordinary suburban life for years. Few could have imagined that investigators believed they had found one of the country's most wanted serial offenders. The evidence against DeAngelo was built not only on DNA, but also on decades of investigative work. Detectives had preserved evidence, documented witness statements, and connected crimes committed across different jurisdictions. Without that painstaking effort, the DNA breakthrough alone would not have solved the case. In 2020, Joseph James DeAngelo pleaded guilty to multiple murders and numerous other crimes as part of a plea agreement that spared victims and their families from lengthy trials. During emotional court proceedings, many survivors and relatives spoke about the lasting impact the crimes had on their lives. DeAngelo was sentenced to multiple consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. ensuring he would spend the remainder of his life in prison. The Golden State Killer case transformed criminal investigations around the world. It demonstrated how advances in forensic science and genetic genealogy could solve cases that had remained cold for decades. At the same time, it also sparked important discussions about privacy, the use of genealogy databases, and the balance between solving crimes and protecting personal information. Today, the case stands as both a reminder of the pain endured by countless victims and a testament to the determination of investigators who refuse to let the evidence be forgotten. It proves that even after decades of silence, justice can still be pursued through patience, science, and persistence. What do you think was the biggest breakthrough in finally identifying the Golden State Killer advances in DNA technology? The determination of investigators or a combination of both? Share your thoughts in the comments below.